Welcome into Gun Talk Nation. Today on Gun Talk Nation, we have a real shooter, 3-gunner, USPSA, tactical games, hunting, coyotes, hogs, deer. Grew up in Texas, so you know he's probably a pretty cool dude. But now he is...
as long as he's not a longhorn.
Well, there's that. We'll get into that, I guess. Well, that gauntlet's been thrown down. So we have somebody... we're going to go all over the place today on Gun Talk Nation. Today's Gun Talk Nation is brought to you by Crimson Trace, Complete Focus, and by Springfield Armory. Gun Talk Nation is also brought to you by Double Star. From rifles and handguns to lowers and uppers, blades, stocks, slings, magazines, Double Star has your 6.
There you go. That's it.
Every rifle built by Double Star uses only U.S.-made parts, and their rifles have outperformed some of the most well-known available today. Double Star also offers daily deals on everything from sling mounts to punch sets. You need punch sets. Plus, use the code GUNTALK at checkout for 15% off at doublestarusa.com. So,
all right.
Today on Gun Talk Nation, let's welcome in our guest. Dustin Sanchez, welcome in, man.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
Now, Dustin is with a company called Real Avid.
Not Real Avid. I know he's from Texas.
And they are located up north in the great state of Minnesota. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
These guys, and I feel like the name really fits him. He's really avid.
So Dustin, give a little background on yourself. I kind of teased the audience about what you do, but you're one of these people in the gun industry who actually really hunts and shoots.
Yeah. So, growing up in Texas, and I am a Longhorns fan. I'm not sure which one of you guys threw that out there.
That's a problem.
That was KJ.
I almost hung up right away, but I felt like I would hang on and give you guys a second chance. But growing up in Texas, I just grew up hunting. Deer, coyote, hogs when they started to get big in the later part of the 90s. And, I just kind of continued to do that throughout my entire life, and met a friend that was his dad. Actually, his brother shoots for the Army Marksmanship Unit, and his dad is a big-time 3-gunner, or was, and they kind of got me into shooting 3-gun, and that led to me shooting a couple of USPSA matches, dabbled with the tactical games. As far as running them, I've been to a couple of them, and I live at the range. I try to tell people that my hobby is is also what puts food on my table.
Okay, the tactical games. I've got some thoughts on this.
Yeah, we've spoken with, we've had Tess on the show before.
Right. And so my thoughts is that these are CrossFitters that just absolutely love guns. They just want a reason to sling around heavy weights and run with guns.
Dustin, thoughts?
All right, well, let's throw this out there because I know my friends can give me a hard time. I go up into them. I did get injured before one, so I haven't, the one I was actually supposed to be in. So I didn't compete in that, but I have ran a couple of them here. Just got to get out there because I know my friends listen to this. They're going to give me a hard time. However, yes, I would say that's how it looks to some people, that it's going to be some CrossFitters out there. But they are bringing in a huge crowd of military guys, active military guys are actually competing in this as well. And they're bringing in some law enforcement. Some 3-gunners have moved over there. You've got some USPSA guys over there. But for the most part, it seems like it is some guys that play around in some cross games and or CrossFit. And they want to get into, they like guns. They want to start shooting. And, some of the dry fire classes my best friend and I, Sean Nelson, have been doing have actually been at some CrossFit gyms where they want to just get more familiar with firearms. So we have them doing a workout and then doing some dry fire drills. So,
I'd like that. I'd like it, Dustin. I mean, it's a way to get more people into it. They're looking for new challenges, and they're open to it. And heck, if anyone even whispers the idea of like, oh, you shoot guns? That's kind of interesting. I'd like to know more about that. That is an opening. You got to jump on that. That's great.
Yeah, no, it's been great, and it's to watch that sport, watch the tactical games actually grow as fast as they have, and bring in more people to the just to the competitive part of it as well has been fantastic. But it's one of those sports where you can't really buy your way into the sport. You can't go buy all the nice guns and the best optics and go out there and win. If you're not at the gym training, you're not, trying to watch your diet and everything, you can have the nicest gear and you're still going to get last because, either you're lacking the fundamentals in physical fitness or you're lacking the fundamentals in your trigger pull. So,
well, what you're saying is there's always something to blame.
Yes,
which I'm a big fan of.
Yeah.
So you strike me as someone who is a glutton for punishment because you also like to shoot the heavy division in 3-gun. For those who aren't familiar with the heavy division, explain what that is as opposed to regular 3-gun.
Yeah, so heavy division is you're shooting a 308 for your rifle, and it used to be they changed it in the past year here, but it used to be where you're shooting a single stack 45 caliber, and then you ran a pump shotgun.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to grow that sport, they've actually moved it over to like a semi-auto shotgun, a 9mm for your pistol now, and then you're still running your 308. I like the traditional ones. I love to run a pump shotgun. I love to shoot the single stack 45. It's just, to me, it seems like it's the old pure sport, like of when Randy Luth and those guys first started introducing 3-gun. That's how it was. And if you know who Randy Luth is, and then you know who John Paul are, and those guys are some of these guys that grew the sport of 3-gun, it's you want to kind of get back to the fundamentals and the basics of that and just have fun and, enjoy it like those guys did.
I have a story about Randy Luth and shooting with him, and you'll like this. And maybe it won't be a surprise to you, Dustin. So there used to be this event, the Shooting Industry Masters, that they would run each year. And one year, somehow, Randy and us, we go way back. We've known him for years. He's a great dude. Founded Panther Arms DPMS, and we ended up on the team together. And so Randy's a good shooter. But what was funny is the 3-gunner guys, some of them, they got their Danner boots, they've got their 511 pants, they got their jerseys on. Randy is literally running these 3-gun stages wearing like boat shoes with no socks and shorts.
That does not surprise me
It's like, whatever. All. Let's just run around and shoot guns, man. It was awesome.
And he probably did really well.
Yeah, he shoots fast.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's part of it. What's one ingredient?
That's one ingredient.
Do you guys know who Mark Roth is over at RCI?
Yeah, he's the shotgun master, dude.
Yeah, so him and Randy Luth are phenomenal friends, but Mark Roth has shot a couple of matches just in flip-flops. He even shot the tactical games in flip-flops.
What? He's a nut. That doesn't surprise me. Yeah. But Mark Roth, if you guys don't know, if you are looking for he's basically Dr. Shotgun when it comes to tactical shotguns, kind of competition, action sports type of shotguns. Is that fair to say, Dustin?
No, that is very accurate. Yeah, I mean, the guy came out with the X-Rail, which was something that a lot of these geese hunters got into, because you could literally put a box of shells into your shotgun, into your semi-auto shotgun or your pump, and go out geese hunting where they don't have a limit. And the guy, both of my shotguns, they're Bredas, but they've both been sent over to Mark and had him work them over. So there was one, I think I ordered it from Breda. It had to go do the photo shoot and some stuff with some people, like with Yoshi and everything. Then it went over to Mark Roth and came to me. I didn't see it for like 6 months, but I guess I wasn't too concerned as long as it got over to Mark and he could work his magic on it. The guy does phenomenal work.
Yeah, he does. He's the man when it comes to shotgun stuff. He puts his little voodoo on it.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, you're talking about mods on guns, and you do work at a company who helps with that, Real Avid. You guys sell all these different kits and all that kind of stuff. DIY rifle builds, that's still really hot these days. I know KJ's been suffering through it. Not suffering, but getting into it.
The first build, I suffered through it, but I did it with a team of people around me, so it was a little bit better. But the second one I built, completely smooth. And, there's one thing that helps, having all the right tools.
Yeah.
And especially you guys actually do make a tool, and it comes in the kit that I actually used, and it's that pivot pin tool. They make a pivot pin tool.
Yeah.
And installing a pivot pin is not the easiest of jobs. But their tool makes it a breeze. And it actually comes in a kit that I was actually using, which is that AR-15 builder's kit. It comes with everything you need, the wrenches, everything.
Yeah.
Like complete set. It makes it easy. But the one thing I did learn, and I had to stop using the excuse, oh, I just have fat fingers. Like, oh, my little sausage fingers can't handle like putting in these small pins and, you know, all the roll pins and everything like that. Well, I mean, you've got to have the right tools to start out. Like that's square one. So,
Dustin, if someone is listening to this and maybe they have an AR or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, and they're going, oh, why would you build one? You can just go buy an AR. Why? And maybe you go, well, maybe you can't right now, but I mean, why would someone consider building an AR?
Yeah, you know what? There's multiple reasons to build an AR, and you're right. Yeah, I mean, right now you can't go just buy one. You probably have to wait 12 weeks, if not a little longer. However, just building one is, you know, the AR, in my opinion, is like the Legos for grown-ups. Especially guys that just, you know, love playing Legos with kids. They could build whatever they wanted, play with it for a day, tear it apart, and the next day they build something brand new. And that's pretty much what you're doing with the AR. If I want to shoot a 300 blackout, I could pull my barrel, throw a new barrel in there, change out my bolt, and maybe change out my gas system and my buffer system, and then be at the range today shooting it. And depending on what I want to do, I could change handguards. I could really just do whatever, customize it. And I think you see a lot of guys that played with Legos as a kid. They've now grown up and they customize their vehicle, whether it's rims, the tires, lights, whatever it is. But it's just the fact that I have 100% control over what my rifle looks like and what components on there. And some of the important components could be your stock, your grip, your handguard, and my favorite thing, or the most important to me, is my trigger. And I can go in there and I can easily change out my trigger to whatever I want it to be. And depending on what trigger I get it, I can change the over travel and the creep and all that stuff. So, I mean, it's super popular right now.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that it's kind of like the Legos for grownups, because I had my 12-year-old out and he comes out in the garage and he says, what are you doing? And I was like, well, I'm actually building a gun. He goes, what are you doing? Why are you doing that, basically? And I was like, well, and I described it exactly the same way. I was like, well, you know how you have Legos, I'm doing the same thing. This is kind of like a Lego building, because it's a very personal choice. I mean, and you're right. It starts kind of at that trigger. You want a great trigger, but you can customize it any way you want. Colors, your accent colors, and where you get your lower from and where you get your upper from. It's all very personal. And nowadays, no better time to start getting those parts and building, especially when you can't find them.
Right.
You can't find those full guns.
That's why I'm saying, I mean, some of the wait times right now, 12 weeks, if not longer. And that's from a company that was usually pushing them out in 2 weeks. So if their lead times are that long, now you get into some of these custom builds, you're looking, it could be looking even longer. So, you search around on the internet, you can find some really good deals right now just on parts, and start getting your own parts and build your own rifle from the ground. I mean, literally from the grip to the lower all the way up. And, the one thing you got to go in and get your FFL on is your lower. Other than that, you can have everything else delivered to your house, pick it up at the shop, whatever you want to do, and start to customize your build and have a good time. And if you have kids, my daughters actually love watching me, or even jumping in sometimes to help me build my firearms. And, I look at it as it's a great time, a great bonding time for me and my kids to sit down and just build something.
Now, I guess I sit here and I think Ryan and I both suffer from the same ailment, is that we are not the most technical and we are not the engineering minds. What would you say to guys that are kind of like us that haven't built one, that are a little bit nervous getting into it? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan. I mean, we're not we're not gunsmiths.
we don't play one on TV. We didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. I mean, we've anytime we do this, we do because it's like it's fun, it's a challenge, but I don't consider myself, super handy with it. But I think one of the things, and what you were kind of saying, Dustin, is one of the things that's interesting when you do an AR build is it's very personal and you can customize it to your use. And it's not like, okay, you built an AR and this one's blue and that one's green or whatever. I mean, there's so much variety when you talk about, okay, this one's going to be an 8-inch gun, an 8-inch barrel, little bitty goofy thing, or I'm going to get a 24-inch heavy barrel, big stock, longer range, whatever. It's amazing. It feels like you're not even building the same gun when you talk about those two sides of the equation.
Yeah, no, they're completely different. Being up here, Minnesota, where I live, I actually live on Lake Street. So when the riots happened, it literally poured into my backyard. I'm 2 miles from the police department that they burned down, and a mile from the second one they tried to burn down. So when all that happened, my neighbors and I, we kind of shut our streets down. I had my AR out there. It was one of my competition ARs that I bought from John Paul, one of his personal rifles. And I just felt like that was not the right AR to be out there with. But that was what I was the most comfortable with because I've shot it in a lot of competition. So as soon as that happened and I had some time to myself, I built a whole new rifle with, actually I built a pistol. So it's an arrow, upper, lower, handguard, and then 10.5-inch barrel. And I put a maximum defense collapsible stock on, or the pistol brace on there. And I dropped in the Hyperfire 2-stage trigger that literally was just coming out. And it's suppressed now, and I've got the optics on there and a light. So, I mean, it's set up for one job now. And it's, which was for the riots or anything ever happened. It's 100% set up for home defense.
Yeah, kind of an urban defense gun, which is a different thing than, okay, we're going to go shoot coyotes. I mean, yeah, you could use that gun to shoot coyotes, but that's the fun part about the AR builds, I think.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, the fact that you can just customize and do whatever you want, it's awesome. And I think you've seen some people try to get into that with the pistols. And it's a little bit more difficult there, but, I think SIG did a pretty good job at dropping out a couple for the P320. They were dropping out the module grips that you could change around on there, and Glock, and their accessories out there and some of the stuff people are throwing out there and the poly 80s. I mean, people are wanting to get into it and really customize their own stuff and have a good time. And I think there's something to say, like I could build my rifle and I can tell you 100% of what's in it, unlike if I bought a rifle, I might not be able to tell you 100% about that rifle.
I will say this, even though I'm pretty much a guy who says, I buy a car, I leave it alone. I buy a gun, I leave it alone, or whatever. It's just like, just buy it and it's fine. But I have discovered that's changed a bit over the years. Now I'm kind of coming around to the idea of a lot of times aftermarket stuff, it will improve your experience. It is better. And KJ talked on it. Triggers in particular, I think mil-spec AR triggers are basically horrible. And they're just horrible. I've never shot one of those.
Nice.
They're
trash.
That is a really nice saying. They're not good as nice as I can be on that one.
I mean, it's no offense to companies out there that are, I mean,
they're mil-spec. They're mil-spec. It's not like, check out our awesome mil-spec trigger.
Yeah, no one's saying that.
No, it's just mil-spec.
That's because they know you're going to go make it personal. And I think that's what's so intimate about aftermarket products. I think you can make it yours.
Right. Yeah. And like you guys were talking about, for you guys that are not that comfortable building, we have our AR-15 Armor's Master Kit, which is completely set up to, you buy the kit, you can go home, and it has every tool that you're going to need to build your AR. And there's even a manual in there that talks to you about the top mods and how to actually do those modifications yourself.
That's cool.
which is really cool. So for the guy that's just getting into it, there's nothing to be nervous about. We're going to do our very best to walk you through it. And, also we let people know, give us a call, talk to us. We've got guys here that built, I don't even know how many rifles I've built, but I've built enough that I can walk the guy through it. And we can chat and talk about triggers. We can talk about handguards, gas blocks, muzzle treatment, your buffering system, even optics. I mean, whatever it is, I try to let everybody know our door's open. Just reach out to us and we'll walk you through this build. Because I think once you build it, there's so much more fun to go to the range and brag your friends that you built this rifle and watch your friends kind of drool over it because they're still running a 100% rifle they just bought from the store.
Yeah. I will say the first shot out of my last build, which was my first build by myself, I was a little nervous. I was like,
here we go.
Well, hope I did it right. What are all those parts doing over there on the ground? Like, I don't know. They're just extra.
Extra.
It was a little nerve-wracking, but it went off. And I mean, it was a lot of fun. I mean, because here's a gun that I personalized and I got it all set up how I wanted it to, and it works for me.
Dustin, how long do you think, I know you've done a bunch of them, but if somebody goes, all right, maybe I'll try this out. I need to get the kit, get the whole armorer's kit, and then get, all the parts in. But how long do you think it takes to build an AR if you say, okay, I'm going to take Saturday and do this?
Yeah, I think anybody, if they're just going to build it from the scratch up and they're going to read instructions possibly, and they're going to watch a couple of YouTube videos, I mean, I think you're looking at 4 to 5 hours. If it's your very first time and you just kind of read everything and you're talking, you're watching videos and stuff like that or researching online. I think once you get good at it and the guy gets rolling, you'll see guys building an AR in an hour. They'll build it in the morning, be at the range shooting that afternoon with their friends. So, it's really not difficult. Sometimes it seems like it is, but the way all the aftermarket companies and even the manufacturers now are producing their firearms, you look at the technologies really went up in what these companies are able to put out on the market for aftermarket and for you to grab and buy, that it's really like Legos. It just kind of pieces together, and some of the stuff that's not very good has kind of been weeded its way out because, nobody's buying their stuff because it doesn't really work with anybody else's.
I think that's an important point because when we talk about doing an AR build, it's not like we're talking about doing a restoration on a car. This isn't like this isn't an 8th month product or project. If you don't know any better, I mean, I know that may sound obvious to a lot of people, but if you're going building an AR, what's involved in this? What's my commitment? I mean, even if you know nothing and you take your time, it's a half day.
Yeah. Yeah. And, my recommendation to anybody that's going to be getting into an AR, there's 2 things I say, don't cheap out on right away. And that is your lower receiver. Just because you got the trigger goes in there. I feel like that has to be probably what you put a lot of your money into. And when I say a lot of money, I mean, you can get a decent AR lower. Well, before COVID and civil unrest, you could get a decent AR-15 lower for $150. That, was a really good one that, they went through, the specs were pretty good. And then I always try to go with a good barrel, just because the barrel is not going to lie. If the barrel's bad, I will never be able to shoot good groups with it, and I'm just going to be depressed about my build. But I'm always going to think it was something I did in that build. I may never do it again. So the quality lower, so that I know the trigger fits in there really good. Everything in the upper is going to connect to it really good, and then the barrel, because then I know it at least shoots sub MOA and take a lot of my guesswork out.
You've done so many, and being at JP and being in that.
Can you guys hear me? I'm losing you.
So, yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Okay, there you go.
Okay,
yeah, I got you now.
I was just thinking about.
He was wandering off. He was wandering off that mic.
All of your experience in doing these builds, and being where you've been. Any stories come to mind on nightmare builds or funny stories of people trying to do some gunsmithing projects?
So I built rifles at JP Rifles. That was kind of when I got into the industry. I got really lucky. A friend got me on over there, and I went right into the shop and just started building. I was trained in by those guys that started building. So my very first build is probably the one thing, building a JP rifle. And if you're not familiar with JP rifles, I like to compare them. If I look at the car world, I like to say they're like the Lamborghini, Ferrari of the car world. And there's some other firearm manufacturers that are up there with them as far as ARs go. And I was just so nervous. And I think it took me like 2.5 hours. And these other guys that were building in the shop, they built 2 rifles for my very first one. And like you guys were talking about, that first shot, you're always nervous. And the gunsmith took it in there, and he took the first shot out of it. And when it went, went bang, they shoot 3 times. It was like bang, bang, bang. I got this huge like smile on my face and relief, like, oh man, great. It fired. I did everything right. That's really good. So that's like my most memorable moment as far as shooting a firearm. But I've seen guys bring in, their gun and their trigger's not working right, and they've got the hammer spring on backwards. I've seen guys have out of a 9mm AR, we saw 23 squibs in one barrel.
Oh
we
my
actually cut
God.
the barrel in half. Yeah.
So all the bullets were stuck in the barrel?
At JP. I'm not sure if it still is, but that'd be a hard record to break. But yeah, 23 squibs. And I was like, well, we all wonder what's the real story behind this, because when it comes in, you don't get that story. And that guy was like, yeah, I think I've got 1 or 2 squibs. And we're like, oh yeah, it should be no problem. And then you're trying to bang around, nothing's going on. So we just cut the barrel in half, and there was 23.
Wow.
It was crazy.
Oh my gosh!
He just kept shooting.
Are you hitting anything? I don't know.
At what point? Well, you know what? We should interrupt this broadcast for a safety tip. If you shoot and nothing comes out of the gun, you need to stop what you're doing. Don't pull the trigger 22 more times. Yeah, he's lucky it didn't blow up on him. That's amazing.
Yeah, he's very lucky. And I've seen that happen at matches. I've seen some guys have some bad ammo in the it goes off out of battery. Just something goes off and it just blows out the whole bottom end. And you definitely want to check on the guy, because he just had an explosion in front of his face. But the way the AR is actually made, it's designed so if it does have a catastrophic failure like that, it blows everything out the bottom end of the receiver.
Right.
That's the way it's designed. So that's a great safety feature. And I've seen it where you look at it, you're like, yep, it did its job. It protected you. And then they're going to have some frag in them from, something. But, I've never seen something where it was super, bad, where they had to be rushed to the emergency room. It was one of those like, all right, let's just get some Band-Aids on there and make sure you're good to go. And they're usually shooting the next stage with somebody else's rifle. They're also using somebody else's ammo after that too. So.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Switch it up.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a fun deal. And like you said, we kind of spent a lot of time talking about AR builds, but the customization on pistols has really gone crazy too in the last several years.
Yeah, that build, I'm really surprised with how it's grown and how you look at carry optics now. It's like everybody wants to have a pistol with a red dot on it, and that's what they're carrying. And they used to catch a lot of slack about it, but when you started looking at it, and some guys are especially now, you got these people that are very new to firearms. If we look at the NICS checks this year, they've skyrocketed. They broke every record of NICS checks ever in the past. So there shows a lot of people are trying to purchase a firearm, and how many of those were approved. So a lot of new first-time owners out there with firearms, and they're not getting the proper training. And some of them I would actually recommend throwing a red dot on there until you can get that proper training to learn how to line up your iron sights properly. And yeah, I mean, it's gone crazy. You've seen people now where they're using laser engravers to stipple the grips and give them a better stippling.
Well,
that's not what KJ did. Let me just tell you.
I've got a little experience in that.
He's basically he's a pro amateur.
Yeah,
he's a pro am.
Pro am. I'm a pro am. Yeah, I would say that's an accurate statement. I mean, but it's fun. It was a fun experiment.
Why were you so mad at that Glock?
I don't know. Like its grip is very aggressive now. Like it's an aggressive grip.
Never stipple while angry. Okay.
I used to sit there and like just stare at my Glock and like I would tape it out and I'm like, all right, yeah, I'm going to do this. And then I'd be like, no, I'm not. I do not want to sit here for the next 8 hours and be tedious because I know like halfway through I'm going to stop being tedious and my like, my burn marks are going to start like getting a lot bigger and it's not going to be uniformed anymore. And then I might as well just throw that grip away. I wouldn't be happy. So, I congrats to you for having the patience to sit down and do that.
No. Let's slow down now.
Much credit.
That is not what
I will send you a
Dustin's
text
like,
message.
I don't have
with a
8
picture.
hours. And KJ's like, oh, dude, I have 45 minutes. I'll get your gun done.
Yeah. It started out with this like, okay, I have an idea of like what kind of pattern I want. And after it was like, bam, 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 just a lot of dots that are like, and they're like, you can almost see daylight poking through. I'll send you pictures.
Heavy-handed.
It's actually pretty interesting. But yeah,
like you had like the F1 of Glocks, huh? Where you could see through your grip and everything.
Yeah, it was. It's a new thing. It's going to be the trend now.
I'm just making it more aerodynamic.
That's right.
It's a lot lighter for when I carry it.
Yeah,
right?
That's it. Dustin, how do people find out more about what you guys are doing?
Yeah, so check us out at realavid.com. Also, you can check us out on Facebook and on Instagram. And believe it or not, they jumped on the Pinterest a while back, and I just found we had to do some work to get all the passwords back into Pinterest. But I'm about to start pushing social media out on Pinterest as well for those who are interested in that. But yeah, I mean, our social media platforms, they can always, get a hold of me here at Real Avid. Chat with me, find me on Instagram. We can chat. And like I said, I love walking guys and women through firearms. My wife has built her own AR in the past, and I just have a good time walking people through builds, helping them with any questions, cleaning, or anything like that. And there's sometimes I will tell you, like, you just need to go to a gunsmith because it looks like it might be that time.
Yeah, I mean, that's good, solid advice. Always lessons to learn here on Gun Talk Nation.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being with us, Dustin.
Hey, man, my pleasure. Don't forget to send me a picture of the Glock because I've got to get a good laugh out of this.
Great.
It's a work of art.
Yeah.
Art?
It's
Question mark?
It's more like a Van Gogh.
Van Gogh while he was drunk.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I want to throw this out there. You guys got to get up here to Minnesota. Anytime anybody's up here in Minnesota, give me a call. I'll try to get out to the range with you guys. Even to your listeners ever in Minnesota, we can go to the range, have a good time, and talk about some builds or whatever they want. So if you're in Minnesota, hit me up.
Awesome. That's it. Thank you, Dustin. Dustin Sanchez with Real Avid, and he's a real shooter. So that's it for us. We'll see you next time on Gun Talk Nation.